The creator of this image posted it on Facebook seeking assistance. It's a very complex image with lots of layers, as you can see here, and each of these groups has also got lots of layers within it. What he wanted to do was to remove the black background, but only from the area of the leaf, and recolor the leaf with some gold or something like that. Well, I tried several ways of doing this, but I found a way using Affinity Photo that I think is easier than what he eventually did, which was to trace around the edges with the pen tool and create a selection that way. Okay, this is where I ended up. Okay, with, you can see all the areas coloured in. This black area, by the way, and that one there, were black on the original leaf, so I didn't deal with those. Right, so let me show you how this was done. We go back to the image that he loaded to Facebook, and we transfer it into Affinity Photo. Edit in Photo. Bingo, there it is in Affinity Photo. However, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to use the same picture but with the final layers on top. There are the final layers switched off, and this is the original layer as he uploaded it to Facebook. So the first thing I did was I duplicated it. No change there, of course. But I also discovered that the tools I want to use, which are the Flood Select tool and later the Merge Visible, well, this Flood Selection tool doesn't work on black. So what I then did was open up all the layers, go down to the bottom, and I found the rectangular background, duplicated it, and changed its color. So the Flood Selection tool now has a color to work on. And we then go back up to the top. The next thing I discovered was that the Flood Selection tool does not like working on so many layers, which seems it didn't. So what I then did was I used this facility called Merge Visible, which compresses all the layers down into one. Unfortunately, it puts that inside the stack rather than, so I want to try and get that out if I can as a separate layer. Yes, I've done it. Right, so we've now got that as a separate layer, and we can switch off our stack for the time being. So this is the only layer active now, is this pixel layer, which I will call Merged Demo. Okay, then we go to the Flood Selection tool, make sure that Merge Demo layer is selected, and you simply drag to the right so that the tolerance at the top there goes up to about 20. There it is there, you see. And you can see that most of everything has been selected. You then hit the delete key. And there we are, we've got rid of that. Now I did find that it was actually easier to work with a black background on this selection, but before I do that, I'm going to tell you one other thing. What I then did was invert the selection. So what we now have selected is the leaves, not the background. And I then saved that selection in a channel. So if I come down to my channels here, and I can find Merge Demo Alpha, right click on that. Oh no, that's not what I want. I want Merge Demo Alpha up here. And then I want to create a spare channel. I've got it already made, you see, because I did it when I was practicing. And it creates a spare channel down the bottom here, which I can then rename Merged Demo number 2. it should be identical to the one above. The reason for doing that is that if at any stage you make a complete mess of it, you can recover that selection again without having to go through the process. You simply right click on it and say load to pixel selection. We don't need to do that in this particular case, of course. So we go back to our merge demo layer, and we zoom, and I'm going to make the background black because it's much easier to see what's going on against a black background. We've got to turn that on as well. There we are. Right, so let's zoom in to a leaf, and we take our selection brush, make sure we're on add, and we'll deal with this leaf here, and we simply want that layer selected. We simply paint out anything, make sure that the whole leaf is selected. It's down here, that bit there. Right, that's fairly rough and ready, but it'll do for our purposes. Next thing is to add a pixel layer above that, and I'll call that demo 1 for the sake of argument. And we then go down and choose a color to put in it. Let's take one of these slightly goldy ones. I think that one there I like best. Okay, put that into the foreground color selection, take our paintbrush tool, make sure we are on demo 1, and we can then paint over the bits where we want the color to appear. Of course, you don't have to use just the one color for this. You can use as many as you like, or you could use a gradient or something like that. Next, we drop this down below. This is always a bit tricky to get it dead right. There we are. And the color has been put into those spaces. We can then go on to another leaf. Let's bring this one down, maybe zoom it in a bit. And we go back to the merge demo layer. And we take our selection brush, make sure add is selected, paint out the bits. Now this is a bit rough and ready, but you can see what I'm doing. You can be as accurate or as fiddly as you like with this. Then add a pixel selection layer, the pixel layer, which we'll call demo 2. And we'll go and select a color. Now there's nothing very useful there, so just for fun we'll take one of these colors over here, pop it into the foreground, take our paintbrush, and we can simply paint over all of these areas here. I think that'll probably do. And we get that demo 2 layer, we move it down below so that it is a layer below and not nested in. There we are. Okay, now obviously you can repeat that for all the others, but what I'm going to do is take a shortcut now, take those demonstration layers that I've done and delete them, and switch on my original merged layer and the edits, which are all the pixel layers like Demo 1, Demo 2, Demo 3 and all the others that I used, and I've just put them into a group for convenience. And there is the end result. I hope you agree that that is a reasonably straightforward way of doing it. Let's do a deselect on that to show the final result. And of course you can then transfer that back to Affinity Designer by simply saying Edit in Designer. There it is. So I hope you found that interesting.